Ready to find out who the preseason favorite is in the ACC for 2024? From the top contenders in this conference to the dark horse long shots that might make the CFP, I've got all the stats that you need as well as the best predictions you have for the 2024 season. Let's get ready. Let's dive into it, guys, right now. Let's start at the bottom with Stanford. Now, the rankings here are the composite power ratings for all 85 or so of the ratings I have in the entire college football realm, such as Sagarin, Massey, FPI, all of these. We're combined in to see what the composite is for each conference. Starting at the bottom here, the ACC, Stanford comes in dead last. Newcomer in the ACC, they have the second most returning production in the country. I don't think they'll get more than 3 wins in this league. Only win I think they'll get in conference will be against Wake Forest. Other than that, another subpar season for the Cardinal. Finished 3-9. They will be at the bottom of the ACC for the 2024 season. Next up is Wake Forest. The only team I think Stanford's going to beat. Also think that Wake Forest will beat a couple teams. They're going to beat Virginia, and I think they'll beat Duke here. I think they'll finish 5-7, just out of bowl reach. Nothing else to say about Wake Forest. They're not that good of a team. 71st overall nationally, 57th strength of schedule, kind of mid. I think they finished 4-8 last year. I think it's going to be another non-bowl season for the Demon Deacons over there in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Number 15, the Syracuse Orange, another team that's probably kind of mid in the ACC. I don't think they're going to make a bowl game. The only win I think they will get in the ACC will be against Stanford. I think the Stanford is such a bad team that Syracuse will prevail over them. Everything else, though, I think they're going to go 1-7 overall in conference. It'll be close to getting the bowl eligibility. Weak non-conference against Ohio, Holy Cross, UNLV, and UConn, but I don't think they get to a bowl game. Stanford finishes towards the bottom of the ACC, bottom quarter of the ACC at number 15. Now up next, Virginia, nationally ranked 69th. They have the 6th most returning production in the country, which is kind of remarkable for an ACC team, but I still think they're so bad that they might win, just like Syracuse and Stanford, they might only win one ACC game. I do believe that would come against Boston College. I think that overall they finished 3-9. They have one of the hardest strength of schedule, which is kind of in the ACC. I think they're third overall in the ACC conference in strength of schedule. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league, though. They finish in the bottom quarter, number 14 in the ACC. Number 13, Boston College, another team that's going to finish not in a bowl record. They come in at 68th rated nationally, 45th strength of schedule. They finished 7-6 last year, which was actually surprising. I don't think they do much in the ACC. Finished 2-6, 5-7 overall. That is my prediction. Boston College, one of the 4 worst teams in the ACC going into the 2024 season. Number 12, Pittsburgh Panthers, 65th overall nationally. The last year they finished 3-9. This year they're not going to finish much better. I do believe they only get to 2 wins in conference, 4-8 overall, 92nd in returning production, one of the bottom half of the entire country. Another subpar season for the Panthers up there in Pennsylvania. I do believe they will not make a bowl game yet again. Number 11, the Duke Blue Devils, a team that had the number 1 returning production last year going into the season. They start off hot. They beat Clemson in their opener, and they had a close game against Notre Dame up until the final 30 seconds before they lost. And then I think they lost 3 of the last 5 games to finish 8-5. Riley Leonard transferred away from this team. This team's not going to do good this year. I think they're going to finish bottom quarter of the ACC, not even bottom half. I think they might get 1 conference victory, and I do believe that might come against North Carolina. Other than that, I think it's going to be 3-9 overall season. Going to be a really bad year for the Duke Blue Devils. They'll have to wait till basketball season yet again over there in Durham. Number 10, California, another newcomer along with Stanford and SMU. Pac-12 team coming over there. I think Stanford Cardinal, even though they are California, I think they only have the 41st most returning production. They're 48th rated nationally. I think they still get the 7 wins this season with their strength of schedule, which is kind of one of the lower half of the Power 4. 39th, I think 7-5 is a pretty reasonable outcome for the Cardinal, California Golden Bears. I think one of their best win might come against Pittsburgh. In Oregon, I think a good win will be against Oregon State, even though they're not in a conference. I think 7-5 is a pretty reasonable outcome for the California Golden Bears in the ACC. Get a bowl game, and they finish top half of the ACC in their first year. Number 9, Georgia Tech, a team that already beat the Florida State Seminoles, one of the most surprising outcomes already in the college football season. Beat a top 10 preseason team. Obviously, Florida State's not going to be a top 10 team going forward, but Georgia Tech surprised a lot of people, and I still think that even before they beat Florida State, I still think they would have got the bowl eligibility of 6-6. But especially after this, I think they get to at least 6-6. They get to 4-4 in conference. which is kind of remarkable because if you see there in the middle of the screen, they have the 6th hardest schedule in all of FBS this season, including games against Miami, Georgia, NC State, Florida State, who they already beat, Louisville, and Notre Dame. They still got to go on the road at Virginia Tech and at UNC. So this is going to be a really difficult schedule here. The lone ACC team, I think, that's in the top 15 in strength of schedule rating. I think Georgia Tech does just enough to get to bowl eligibility, 6-6. They're going to surprise a lot of people this year, but I don't think they're going to make too much noise the rest of the year. But they will get to bowl eligibility, so good. It's going to be a decent year for the Ramblin' Wreck over there down in Atlanta. Number 8, the Virginia Tech Hokies, a team that I think a lot of people have on their radar as being a dark horse in this conference. Last year they finished 7-6. This year they're rated 45th nationally. The key here, though, you see they're in returning production. They're 4th in the entire country in terms of passer, receiving, rushing, and defensive play. They have the 4th most returning production in the entire country. And I think because of all this, their weak strength of schedule, I think that they're one of the 5 easiest Power 4 strength of schedules in the entire country. And I think they're going to get to 10-2. I think their only 2 losses will be on the road at Miami and to that one against Clemson at home. But other than that, I think they play an easy enough schedule against Vanderbilt, Marshall, Old Dominion, Rutgers. I think they'll get it done in all 4 of those non-conference games. And they have an outside chance of getting to the ACC championship game and finishing at 10-2 in a Power 4 conference. They have an outside chance of getting an at-large bid in the CFP. Coming in next is North Carolina, number 7. Last year they finished 8-5. Drake May kind of I think he kind of floundered here towards the end of his career to UNC. He left, and as you see there, they're 99th in returning production, so not much coming back. I still think North Carolina has enough of their recruiting, and they do have enough with their coaching staff. Mac Brown there still down there in Chapel Hill to get to 8 wins. I think they get 8-4 overall, 5-3 in conference. I think they split only lost non-conference beat on the road at Minnesota week 1. But I do think this is going to be a decent team. I don't think they're going to be in a CFP, one of the big bowls contention, New Year's Day. But they still get the 8 wins for the ACC. It's going to be a pretty good year for the Tar Heels. Number 6, SMU, a newcomer, the last newcomer here on this list. They already beat Nevada week 1. It was a close win. I think there was 27.5-point favorites on the road. They only won by 5. But a lot of another team on the ACC radar that people have as a dark horse to get to the ACC championship game. Last year they won 11 games. This year they're rated nationally 39th. Overall strength of schedule, I think, is the easiest in all of Power 5, or they at least the easiest in the ACC. They're 70th overall. They have 11th in returning production, and I think they have a legitimate chance of getting to 10 wins, double digits this year. Only losses will come to on the road at Louisville and to Florida State, which I think that is going to increase here a lot in the coming weeks. They might have a chance to even get to 11 wins and get to only 1 loss in the ACC. That would definitely put them in the conference championship game discussion to participate in that. So SMU, I think, is going to have a really good year and a dark horse outside shot of getting into the CFP and the ACC championship game. Coming in number 5 in the preseason ratings composite, NC State. Last year they finished 9-4. This year I think they're going to finish just the same, 9-3. I think they're going to play. They play one of the easier schedules. They're 58th in the Power 4 overall. I think they're one of the bottom 10 in the Power 4. I think they're going to lose to the few good teams they play, though. They're going to lose to. I think they're going to lose to UNC in the last game of the season, and they're going to lose to Tennessee and lose on the road at Clemson. Other than that, though, they play such an easy schedule. They have if they don't get to 9 wins, in my opinion, it will be an absolute failure for this team. I think NC State's going to be a good team, not a great team. Their record's going to be kind of bloated, but I think they're still going to be in a decent bowl game come bowl season. Going in the top 4, Florida State. Before week 0, I had them at number 2 everybody had them at number 2 in the preseason rankings. Now they lost to Georgia Tech. They dropped a couple ratings already to number 4 in the ACC composite ratings. I think before this, I had them at 10-2 at least. Now I have them at 9-3. That was almost a guaranteed lock to beat Georgia Tech. As you see there, they had an 82% chance of winning them, according to Kelly Ford. Now they might even get to 4 losses on the season. I still think they get to 9-3 though. They're one of the better teams in the conference, at least recruiting wise and talent wise. Strength of schedule is kind of middle tier of the road. I still think they do enough. They beat Clemson, or the only losses they have are Georgia Tech, Clemson, and Notre Dame. I still think they beat Florida. They beat Miami. They beat UNC, and I think they get to 9-3 in this season. Just outside the ACC championship game, though. Coming in at number 3 is Miami Hurricanes, a team that has been just on the cusp of getting to the ACC championship for the last couple years. At least last year, they had a chance to make it. They had that debacle against Georgia Tech, and their season kind of got derailed after that. This year, I think they get to 9-3. Only 2 losses will be to Louisville and Florida State. Every other team, though, is a pretty easy matchup. They have the 53rd rated strength of schedule. I think they're going to be one of the contenders in the ACC, but just missed out on the conference championship game and an at-large bid in the CFP, because I think these top 2 teams will represent the ACC in the conference championship game. Number 2, the Louisville Cardinals. Last year's conference game runner-up. They had a really good season. They lost to Kentucky in the second to last week before the conference championship game. Then they lost to a really, really good defensive Florida State team. Only got to 6 points, and then they lost in the bowl game. But I do think this team, even with 48th returning production, they get to 9-3. They split their two non-conference games. I think they lose to Kentucky and Notre Dame, but I think they beat Austin Peay and Jacksonville State, one of the 2 easier teams. But the only loss, I think, in conference that they legit will be at Clemson. I think they beat SMU, and I think they beat Miami, the 2 toughest in-conference games. And I think they get to the conference championship game for the 2nd year in a row to face the number 1 team in the ACC, once again, the Clemson Tigers. Last year they finished 9-4. This year they come in ranked at number 17th nationally. Kind of one of the bottom half of the Power 4 in terms of strength of schedule. They have a 33rd rated returning production. But, I mean, when your 2-time starting quarterback is coming back, it's kind of hard to go against this team. Kate Klubnik needs to have a good year because he's had so much hype. He's just like Drew Allar for Penn State. He's had a full year under his belt. Now he needs to lead this team to the promised land. And I think this team goes undefeated in conference. Only loss I think they have is week 1 to Georgia. And I think they run the table the rest of the way. I think they beat Florida State. I think they beat NC State, Louisville, and South Carolina in the last game. And I think they have a rematch with Louisville in the ACC championship game. And I think that's how the ACC is going to go this year. Clemson and Louisville will be the top 2 teams. And I think that will be your ACC championship game for the 2024 season. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. This is your ACC breakdown for the 2024 preseason. Do you agree with these rankings, or do you see some surprises on the horizon? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into all Power 4 conferences. See you in the next video, guys.